What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. I appreciate you being here. Happy Monday night, and I'm sure many of you are enjoying the national championship right now. So we will try to keep it short. Tonight's episode of Primetime maybe doesn't go for 40 minutes. Maybe we try to keep it shorter so we can get back to watching the national championship. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me on tonight's episode of ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. We can officially begin the Cowboys playoff week. We can officially begin it because, hey, the Cowboys are in it. The Cowboys are going to face the 49ers next Sunday through 3:30 p.m. That is the official start time for the Cowboys playoff game. We'll talk about some of the pros and cons of facing the 49ers because staff writer Cole Patterson for ADCSports.com brought that question up in the ADC Sports chat this morning, and I was very interested by it. And in fact, tomorrow he should be dropping that article on ADCSports.com/Dallas, pros and cons of facing the 49ers. We will try to get into it tonight, sort of a early preview of the game, and then we'll talk a little bit about, well, actually we'll start off with Dan Quinn's conversation. He's going to be interviewed by the Broncos. So is Kellen Moore. At least the team requested permission to interview the Cowboys coordinators, but Dan Quinn is emerging as the favorite for the Broncos. So we'll talk about it all, but before we'll start the show officially. In the meantime, what is up, people over at the YouTube chat? Charlene Evans, burner account. What is up, Kylie, over at Facebook? Sergio, Chuck, all of you guys, thank you for being here on tonight's episode. What is up, Elvira Louis Cheney, saying tighten up. What is up? I hope I pronunciated that correctly. I'm sorry if not. And what is up, Stevie Mac, reminding people to hit the like button, share the show, and if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, let your friends know that you're watching ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. Here we go, guys. Let's start the show officially. What is up, everyone? Welcome to ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. I'm Mauricio Rodríguez, streaming with you live every Sunday through Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central here on Dallas On Demand Sports Talk Network with a lot more content coming your way throughout the postseason. Make sure you check out adcsports.com/Dallas. Hey, I got to read this comment right now. I got to start off with this comment because the Eagles are trash is saying, man, there were so many chirping 49ers fans talking maddish this AM on Sky's broadcast. They have no respect for our front seven, even though we were third in the NFL versus the rush. It is crazy. That's fun. It is fun that 49ers fans are invading Cowboys shows and things like that. That talks to you about playoff football. Do you want to know what else says playoff football? The fact that last night, according to Michael Gelkin from the Dallas Morning News, the Cowboys were actually having meetings over WebEx, offensive staff, defensive staff, getting ready for the 49ers as soon as they learned who their rival was going to be. And of course, preparation starts earlier, as Michael Gelkin indicated on Twitter. But it's so exciting that the games matter this much already, that the teams are getting ready even for hypothetical scenarios like the Cowboys preparation. Surely, when you think about how well organized these organizations are, that sounded funny. It's fun that they have scouts working on opponents all the time. And the Cowboys, of course, had some combinations before the playoffs were set. The Cowboys could have even faced the Philadelphia Eagles if certain scenario would have gone their way. For example, if the Bucs had lost, you would have the Cowboys at number 2 and the Eagles at number 7. So preparation was on for all of these opponents, and now they know who is it. It is the 49ers. Now, it is definitely an exciting matchup, as Burner Account is saying. Burner Account said, man, I'm so excited for this matchup. I am too. And actually, now that we're talking about the 49ers right off the bat, let's jump to the 49ers topic, and we'll leave the Dan Quinn conversation for later. I would have to ask you, what's the biggest pro about facing the 49ers, in your opinion? Is it the passing game? Is it the run game? If you want to get specific, please get specific on tonight's primetime episode. What is the biggest pro about facing the 49ers in the wild card round of the playoffs? While you think of that answer, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the show if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. I will give you one of mine, and I will give you a few of mine, actually. What is the biggest pro about facing the 49ers? That is the question here on the show. I will tell you what. I think that their pass defense is quite suspect. The 49ers have great personnel, great defense. There are a lot of players that worry me in this matchup, but I think that they hurt a little bit in their secondary. And the Cowboys passing game has been on and off. The entire offense has been on and off throughout most of the season. They certainly have not been that top 5 unit throughout the entire year that we wanted them to be in September and October. But this 49ers defense, I think, is less scary than some other potential matchups within the NFC. Now, I saved another pro for later because I knew that many people were going to mention this. And actually, Louis from ADC, from the Titans Nation, probably an ADC Sports Nashville participant always. Thank you, Louis, for being here. He says, Cowboys can't stop Jimmy. And that is something that I agree with. Dallas Young says, biggest pro is we have a far better quarterback. Mark Canella says, stationary Jimmy G. Burl Killer, thank you for your comment and for your donation. Thank you for being here on Primetime. I agree with this. I think that one of the biggest pros for facing the 49ers is facing Jimmy Garoppolo. Think about this. He is stationary, as you guys pointed out in the YouTube chat, and he also is a quarterback that will throw you the ball. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have turnover-worthy plays. In fact, I was looking at some of the numbers by PFF, and if you take a look at the numbers percentage-wise, Jimmy G is the second quarterback with the most turnover-worthy plays in the NFL. And the guys that are close to him, you're talking about Big Ben, you're talking about Taylor Heineke. Not great company for Jimmy G. And he doesn't make up for it with a lot of big-time throws. I think he can be very efficient with Kyle Shanahan's offense, but he will throw you the ball. And think about this. The Cowboys lead the NFL in interceptions with 26. I was looking at that number. That is crazy. If you take away Trevon Diggs' 11 interceptions from 2021, the Cowboys would still have 15 picks, and that would be better than 19 other teams in the NFL. How crazy is that? There are 26. You take away Trevon Diggs' 15, and you still have a better number than 19 other franchises in the NFL. So I think that, hey, if the Cowboys have been something this year on defense, they have been ball hawks. They have been opportunistic when the opportunities have come up. And I think that is one of the biggest pros for facing the 49ers. The Cowboys can be their own worst enemy, says Joe over at Facebook. That is something that I actually agree with. The penalties, that is the main reason why I believe that. The Cowboys are one of the leaders in the NFL when it comes to penalties. And some of it you might attribute it to the refs in some of the games, like, for example, the Raiders one, which was quite crazy. But a lot of them, hey, you gotta admit, it's also a little bit the Cowboys' fault, right? So I agree with Joe on that. Then we have another Joe, some back-to-back Joe comments. Joe Tranchina says, I want the Eagles to beat Tampa Bay so Eagles can come to Dallas and get another ass whopping. Hey, that would be amazing if the Eagles beat the Bucs. I don't think that will happen, though. I think that a path to the Super Bowl, and we'll get into that fairly quickly on tonight's episode, goes to Tampa Bay. The national championship game is not tied. The tie is broken. Alabama leads Georgia 6-3. 11 minutes ago in the second quarter. It has been quite an exciting game in terms of defense. Don't worry, we'll get out of prime time early. I don't want to take plenty of your time. I want you to enjoy the national championship as well. Good evening, David. Thank you for being here on the show. Jerry Smith says, it's important that Kellen Moore can evolve and scheme throughout the game, especially if we cannot stop the run game. We'll get into the run game in a bit, by the way. All right, let's get to the cons too. I think that is also important. What's the biggest con about facing the 49ers? Because my number one was definitely the pass defense for the 49ers. Number two, a quarterback that will throw you the ball in Jimmy G, and I think that you have the quarterback advantage in there. Here we go with the cons, though. What's the biggest con about facing the 49ers? Mark Canella says, biggest con, it's Deebo. He can do everything, must contain him. It's got to be Deebo Samuel. I agree with that. One of the top cons of facing the 49ers, it's got to be Deebo Samuel. And here's the thing. One-on-one on the outside, I might not hate the Deebo Samuel Trevon Diggs matchup. I think that Trevon Diggs could handle him because if you think about Deebo, he does a lot of great stuff and he's so versatile, and Kyle Shanahan has been able to exploit him in a way that has been so impressive. But is he one of the best route runners in the NFL? Probably not. Specifically in route running, I wouldn't catalog him as such. That's my take. So I don't hate Trevon Diggs versus Deebo Samuel. However, what I hate is that Deebo Samuel messes up with the Cowboys' maybe defensive structure, a very man-heavy team. They play a lot of man-to-man coverage, and the Cowboys will have to be on point. Dan Quinn and his unit will have to be able to communicate so well on Sunday's matchup versus the 49ers when Deebo motions into the backfield. And they will run with Deebo Samuel, by the way, and not gimmicky runs. They will play outside zone, inside zone with Deebo Samuel at running back. They will use him as a traditional back at times, and that is so impressive to watch. So definitely one of the cons is that guy who wears number 19, a matchup nightmare. The Cowboys' communication will have to be on point to face that, no doubt about it. Another one would be definitely the run attack. Randall is saying con the Niners run attack. That would be my number two con in this game. It is such a creative run game for the 49ers. They run a lot of maybe traditional concepts, but they mix it up with a lot of eye candy. They have a lot of motion going. And you watch these replays and you say, hey, I wish that the Cowboys used as many plays with pre-snap motion or motion at the snap, right? We wish that the Cowboys would use it more in their own run game. But definitely the 49ers run attack is one of their biggest strengths. They're one of the best run offenses in the NFL. And the Cowboys defense is one of the best when it comes to defending the pass. But if you take a look at the numbers, they're near average when defending the run. That has improved as of late, though. That has improved because they've gotten Neville Gallimore back. They've gotten DeMarcus Lawrence back, who is one of the best edge run defenders in the entire league. He's elite at stopping the run, but it still will be a tough matchup for the Cowboys when it comes to the running game. David says, stopping the run. Dallas Young says, I agree. The Niners run game is tough. We got to contain them. Jerry Johnson says, cons, penalties, and time management. Mike McCarthy, we know that if there's a weakness to him as a coach, it might have to do a lot with time management. Loved one of the comments from Mike McCarthy, though, from today. He was asked if he was surprised of, I don't remember the exact question, but it was something along the lines of, was he surprised about getting back to the playoffs after 5 years? And he said something like, hey, this is where I belong. I kind of agree with it because if you think about it, Mike McCarthy does belong in the playoffs. We talked about it. It's been 9 years, 9 different years in the playoffs for the Green Bay Packers. He has 10 wins, something that only 18 coaches in the NFL can claim. So shout out to Mike McCarthy. He is a playoff coach, and the Cowboys will get to reap the benefits from that. Hopefully, that is why he was brought in. We talked about this briefly last night, and that is something that I strongly believe. But Kyle Shanahan, Mike McCarthy, might be another con. Comparing it to maybe Mike McCarthy versus Cliff Kingsbury, this is a more even coaching battle. And I always put Kyle Shanahan as one of the best coaches in the NFL. That will be put to the test this will be a great playoff battle between two great head coaches, in my opinion. Kittle, says burner account, I believe is the biggest con. Linebacker room is thin, and Kittle is a difficult matchup. I agree. Jaron Kearse has been playing a lot of man-to-man coverage versus tight ends. It will be so fun to watch how Dan Quinn schemes his defense versus George Kittle, because the thing about Kittle is he's great in the run game. He's one of the best blocking tight ends in the entire NFL, but also he's a vertical threat. And the 49ers are not afraid of sending Kittle in vertical routes, of using this underneath routing, which he ends up leaking upfield. He's a very, very dangerous player. And burner account asking, is Kearse practicing? Not yet. And Mike McCarthy said that the goal for the Dallas Cowboys is to get the COVID-19 players, because remember that Jaron Kearse is not only dealing with a hamstring injury, he's also in the COVID-19 protocol. So Mike McCarthy said that regarding the players that were in the protocol, Michael Parsons, Anthony Brown, Tyron Smith, and of course Jaron Kearse, that they expect them back on Thursday. And he did add that maybe Jaron was going to take a little bit longer. And that might have to do with the hammy issue. Hopefully it's nothing serious. And hopefully it has to do with, and hopefully Kearse is able to come back in time. Because that Cowboys game versus the Eagles, when they were getting a little bit killed by the run, a lot of people were thinking about Michael Parsons' absence, but it definitely had to do a lot with the fact that Jaron Kearse was also missing for the Cowboys defense. Because Jaron is a safety, but he has been a linebacker basically for this Cowboys defense, and he's a huge part of it. Hopefully Kearse is ready to go on Sunday. He should. I am being quite optimistic about the players that were not available last Saturday night. I would think that all of them are expected back. Because as McCarthy said, the COVID-19, the players that were in the COVID-19 protocol are expected back on Thursday. And you would assume that Trevon Diggs is going to be back. He was out with an illness. You assume that they were being careful with Tony Pollard. He should be back for the game as well. So actually something that I wanted to touch on as well on this episode, and now we have. Felipe says, but Dan Quinn has film in the 49ers from last year. We can go off that on offense and defense, says Felipe. And that is a great point. Dan Quinn versus Kyle Shanahan will be such a cool coaching battle as well. And here is where Dan Quinn might have a hidden advantage, because people are talking about these two guys knowing each other. But I would assume that Kyle Shanahan's philosophy looks way closer to what it did when these two guys were together with the Falcons than it does for Dan Quinn, because Dan Quinn changed his entire philosophy. Remember that the defensive scheme that the Cowboys are using with Quinn, and Alabama just got a big play that might be gone for a touchdown. No, first and goal. Sorry for the distraction. But for Dan Quinn, it is a completely different philosophy, because before, Dan Quinn was a cover 3 coach, a lot of zone defenses, and now he's a man-heavy coach. The Cowboys are a cover 1 kind of defense so far this season. Moses burner account, if we lose this game, do we riot? If the Cowboys don't get past the wildcard round, I believe that it definitely would be fair, not to riot maybe, but it would be fair to say that expectations were not met. That's where I'm at with this game. I think that the Cowboys should be expected to get past the wild card round. DeMarcus says if we can stop them on the run, we should be okay. And I agree with DeMarcus on this one, definitely. Listen, the Cowboys, if the Cowboys get up to an early lead, it would be difficult for the 49ers to ask Jimmy G to get them out of it. And I said this last night. I realized that it sounds ironic since the 49ers just came back from a 17-3 deficit at halftime, beating Sean McVay for the first time. That was the first game ever that Sean McVay lost when he had a lead at halftime. And the 49ers came back from it. So I realized that it maybe sounds a little bit ironic, but I think that the 49ers would have a tough task of bouncing back if the Cowboys get up to an early lead, because the pass rush for the Cowboys is quite good too. Shout out to Shane Carter, by the way, ADC Sports writer. He pointed out that the 49ers are actually quite good at not allowing a lot of pressure. They're 7th best in the NFL, according to Shane Carter from adcsports.com/Dallas. So great battle up front as well. J Mart Fishing says, we will destroy them if we stop the run, period. No, not many playmakers on our defenses. Eric Jimenez, I would disagree a little bit with that, though. The Cowboys have a lot of playmakers on defense. Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Gregory, all of these guys have been making plays for the Dallas Cowboys. Or I don't know if he meant it otherwise, though. Field goal wars is Louis. Hey, hopefully not. Oh, Eric says, I'm sorry, I meant too many players on our defense. All right, that makes way more sense. I was a little bit concerned there. I was going like, hey, that's not actually true at all. So yeah, the Cowboys, a lot of playmakers on defense. Who are you talking about? Queen, says Wilson Santiago. I don't know if that is in response to another comment or to what I was saying earlier. But yeah, I was talking about Queen being a cover one heavy coach this season after being labeled as a cover 3 season for most of his career. And by the way, we have that topic pending because we jumped it. And I think that the Cowboys are going to wear their white jerseys, as Stevie Mack is saying over at YouTube. They should, though. They should. Tommy, no worries for being late. Welcome to the chat. And guys, by the way, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, consider this maybe the 2-minute warning. And make sure you hit the like button, please. Share the show. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, let your friends know about ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. The Broncos are apparently interested in Dan Quinn, guys. And not only interested, but people are reporting him to be the top candidate, maybe, for the Broncos. Because Jason Lackenfora from CBS Sports on Sunday, he reported that the Broncos were going to be asking for permission to interview Quinn, and they were going to be moving on from Big Fangio, which was already made official. And it looks like Quinn is going to be the top guy over at the Broncos, according to reports. So here's my question from me to you guys, because we would hate it if Dan Quinn leaves the Cowboys, right? That is more than clear. We want Dan Quinn to stay with the Cowboys because he has been able to do such a great job for the team, and hopefully that doesn't change. However, it might. And I would ask you, let's assume for a moment, let's dive into the hypotheticals, and let's assume that the Broncos take Dan Quinn away from the Cowboys. We would be really happy for Quinn, as burner account is saying. At the end of the day, these guys are working, and hey, if they get the opportunity to be at the front of a franchise again, if that's what they want, good for them. The question would be, would you like or dislike bringing the Broncos' former head coach in, Big Fangio? Would you like or dislike bringing Big Fangio in as Dan Quinn's replacement? A little bit of a switcheroo in the coaching world between the Cowboys and the Broncos. Would you like or dislike that? I'd say that's an interesting question, though. Because what is that comment? I even dropped my pen after reading Barner's account comment there. No, hire Jason Garrett as a defensive coordinator. I even dropped my pen like in chalk after reading that comment. I know it's a little bit of a joke. Let's see some of the answers here. Eric goes with a straight up nope. Joey says, I don't think he'll leave, or hope not. I'm hoping the same thing. No to Big Fangio, says Joey Vela as well. Tommy says, I would like it. C-Bro says, Mike Zimmer or Big Fangio, whichever of the two. I like that as well. Dislike, Jerry Jones needs to pay Quinn to stay in Dallas. I agree. Like, my preference, of course, would be for Dan Quinn to stay. We're just diving into some hypotheticals here. Jackie says, Big Fangio would be nice. I also want to see who else is out there, though. I would like Big Fangio. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that he failed, of course, as a head coach, but by now we have learned that it is so different to be the face of a franchise than to be just a coordinator that is more focused on the X and O's, right? On the scheming of things. And Big Fangio has actually been at the forefront of the NFL's defensive revolution with all of these too high safety looks, trying to put a cap to opposing maybe deep attack offenses in the NFL. He is an innovator, I believe, Big Fangio, and I like his philosophy quite a bit. He's a very physical kind of coach. I think that it would serve the Cowboys maybe, but also he is open to maybe hybrid players like Michael Parsons and all of these versatility elements of the modern defenses in the NFL. So I wouldn't mind Big Fangio. I think that if Dan Quinn ends up leaving, hopefully he doesn't, but if he does though, I would love it. I would definitely love considering at least Big Fangio. And I know someone said that maybe it's not a good fit with Mike McCarthy after the post-game comments that he shared after the Broncos game. I think they can put that aside. I think they can be grown-ups about the situation, hopefully. But I agree with what someone said here in the chat. Let me try to find it. Someone said, it's Happy Holly over at Facebook. Only if Dan Quinn leaves. 100%. Jerry Jones and company, they need to do as much as they can to keep Dan Quinn on board. And maybe, and I feel the same way about Kellen Moore, by the way. I know that a lot of people have gotten off the Kellen Moore bandwagon. Not me, not yet. I know it's not going to be, it has not been perfect, excuse me. But I think that he still has a bright future ahead of him. Tommy says Brian Flores got fired too, although I'm sure he's getting another head coaching job. I agree with that. I think that Brian is going to end up somewhere as a head coach of a franchise. Maybe the Houston Texans, maybe the Broncos. Actually, it could be a good combination too. Speaking of the Broncos, unbelievable Black Monday, by the way. Felipe is saying Zimmerman or nothing. Mike Zimmer, I could be sold in Mike Zimmer as a defensive coordinator. I also know that he struggled as a head coach, but I wouldn't mind him at all at DC. I agree with Felipe there. Kellen Moore is Gary 2.0. His family is his burner account. Here we go. Hey, the game's getting good, by the way, over there on the national championship game. Don't worry. We're about to end the show. Don't worry. Dwayne Wright says, at the end of the day, they are all getting teams ready to get a ring just like the players. Pay the man whatever, Jerry. Let's freaking go. Hey, let's put Dwayne in charge of paying these coaches because I agree with his philosophy. I hope we keep Quinn, and I hope we keep and I hope that the Cowboys also keep Kellen Moore. Now, Chuck is right. The Texans didn't fire their coach. They likely won't. But hey, with names like Brian Flores coming available and Deshaun Watson wanted to go to Miami in big part because of Brian Flores. I wonder if they approach Watson in a way that they say, I mean, I'm just speculating here, but maybe Brian Flores becoming available is the key to making things right with Deshaun and convincing him to come back if they get Flores on board. Because Flores was one of the main reasons why Deshaun Watson was eyeing the Miami job. You never know. You never know. Tommy is completely right here, though. I don't know how Judge kept his job. That 3rd and 9 quarterback sneak, man, that was gold. That was gold content from the Giants. People were saying that the Sunday Night Football is why we watched the NFL last night. That game was crazy, by the way. Such a crazy ending to it. People were saying that is why we watch the NFL. I don't agree with that. I watch the NFL because I want to watch the Giants run a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 9. That is what keeps me going. Then we're going to try to get Watson, says Chuck. A lot of moving pieces in the NFL. Let's talk about the path to the Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys. Just a quick outlook of it. Because the Cowboys right now have the number 3 seed in the NFC. They will host the San Francisco 49ers. But let's try to explore what it looks like if they want to move forward. We did this before the game too. We were looking at scenarios and stuff. We were talking about avoiding the Packers in the divisional round if the Cowboys got the third seed. But let's say that the Cowboys move on from the wild card round. Just trying to give you guys a quick outlook of how things would look like. If you move on from the 49ers, you're getting the winner of the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Bucks game. So you're likely going to face Tom Brady, fulfilling Dak Prescott's prophecy after week 1 when he said to Tom Brady, "We will see you guys again." Dak Prescott is one game away from being right. He's one game away from his prediction coming true. He told Tom Brady after a tremendous quarterback duel in week 1, that was so exciting, by the way, you would get the Tampa Bay Bucks in the divisional round. And then likely the Packers are going to get whoever wins the Cardinals-Rams game, unless the 49ers or the Eagles win, which we are hoping doesn't happen, at least for the Cowboys, because the Cowboys should be able to beat the 49ers. We're trying to discuss the Cowboys' path to the Super Bowl, of course. So then you get in the NFC Championship game, and again, I'm allowing myself to project these games just to kind of paint you a picture how it would look like. Then you would get the winner of the Packers versus the Cardinals/Rams. So definitely a winnable game, I believe. A winnable games for the Cowboys. I know things have not been ideal for Dallas, but things have not been ideal for any of the other teams. That's more or less what the path to the Super Bowl would look like. According to Eagles fans, we will be playing them, says Dwayne Wright. Man, I don't see how the Eagles beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know that Dwayne is making fun of the fans. Like, what is the path for the Eagles to actually beat Tampa? I don't think that they have the secondary to slow down Tom Brady and company. They can run. Philadelphia, let's give them some credit in that. I think they can run the heck out of the football. I don't know if that works for you versus Tom Brady's offense, because Tampa's offense has been one of the best in the NFL in whatever stat you choose. If you take a look at points per game, if you take a look at advanced metrics like DVOA, EPA per play, all of that, the Patriots have been right up there. And that is why Tom Brady is actually a candidate for MVP. The favorite is Aaron Rodgers, but don't be surprised if Brady ends up winning it, because he has that kind of numbers. So I think that the Eagles have a very tough task. Like, let's look again at these playoff games. And actually not because I don't have the AFC picture. But if you take a look at the NFC playoffs, that is maybe the most how could we call it? That is the game with the most difference between one team and another. And if you take a look at the AFC, maybe the Steelers and the Chiefs game is the only one which you could say has the biggest difference league-wide. Happy Holly says we can only play the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, says Happy Holly. That would be right. Yeah, that would be right, because they would move on to play the Green Bay Packers. That is right. But they don't have Brown, though, says Joey Bella. And they're dealing with a lot of injuries. Because last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the healthiest team in the NFL when they got to the playoffs. Not now, though. They are dealing with a lot of stuff. Dwayne Wright says, Tom Downey, I'm right there with you, answering this comment right here. Eagles will find a way to get Foles for this postseason. Brady would be shook. That would actually be so fun to watch. How many home games will the Cowboys have, says Wilson Santiago? Most likely, just the one. Most likely, you're only getting the wild card game at home. I would say that there's a scenario maybe you would need the Eagles and the Arizona Cardinals to both win if you want a game at home in the divisional round. You would need both of them to win, because otherwise, let's say that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win, the Cardinals win, and the Cowboys win, the Cardinals would be the team to face the Green Bay Packers. So you're likely to get just the wild card game at home. 49ers secondary is not weak, bro, says Wilson Santiago. Maybe not weak. Maybe weak is a strong word, but that's their vulnerable spot on defense. They're one of the best versus the run, and they're a little bit vulnerable versus the pass. They're one of the teams that allows a lot of explosive plays on offense, and they're about 19-18 when it comes to defending the pass. We'll take a closer look at all of these numbers tomorrow night, by the way. We will have a lot of fun this week on ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. Anyways, guys, we'll actually save it for tomorrow night. Just a little bit of a preview. We'll get into some of the question marks surrounding the Cowboys as we head into the NFL playoffs. We'll also maybe have a small segment trying to give out some Cowboys awards now that the regular season is over. And I'm talking about maybe a few made-up awards. So if you have any suggestions, hit me up on Twitter at MauNFL. That's MAUNFL. And maybe we'll try to implement them on the show tomorrow night. Question marks and a little bit more of 49ers conversations, of course, because it is playoff football, guys. Later on the week, Wednesday, we will take a look at key matchups. And on Thursday as well, as every week of the regular season, we will have betting the Cowboys, and we will have the final preview of the game. We'll have fun. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining the show. Tyler, how about that? Rent-free in a Cowboys show. Shout out to Tyler being here in ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. I would just ask you to hit that like button and share this stream with your 49ers fans if you want them to get maybe a preview of the game from the Cowboys perspective. Louis, thank you for being here. ADCites, thank you, man, and good luck. How about that ADC Sports Bowl? Let's get it. Let's get the Titans and the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. That would be amazing. Thank you, guys. Hit the like button. Thank you to Kenneth Fraser. We're at Facebook, Danny Woods at YouTube. All of you guys, thank you for being here. Enjoy the second half of the national championship in college football. I've got Georgia. They're losing right now, but my pregame pick was Georgia. Check out adcsports.com/Dallas. Tomorrow, Cole Patterson will drop an article on his thoughts on pros and cons. So thank you, guys, and I will see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central. Let's go.